This story is improvised by Jesse T. William and Tucker Patterson. It contains themes of abuse and sometimes intense depictions of violence. The story does not seek to glorify violence. Through the frame of the rigging, the ropes, you see the ship that you are aboard. A small fishing merchant type ship. You see it is manned by mostly humans. There might be a half-elf or something aboard. But this far south and in the islands, even after so long in Flea of the races mixing, not a bunch of them get down this way. As you look through, you see that a couple of people have stopped and are looking back at you as you have just sprinted and jumped aboard this boat. Do you think Cesarine is the first to do something about that? Or do you think one of these people kind of needs to break the tension with you?
I think he waves and tries to act casual. Which is funny because I think his eyes are it's very clear he's been crying profusely. He has no shoes on, nothing, but he just while holding on, just a little,
You see,
cool.
You see at the helm, there's a human woman in her 30s, very pale skin like your dad, which is an uncommon phenotype. You see that she is at the helm somewhere in her 30s or 40s, very suntan skin, green eyes. Not that a lot of these color details in clarity you would make out under the night sky. You see as the ocean air begins to fill your nostrils, and you see out of the peripheral the town of Bellon being left behind. You see that this captain will kind of approach you on the other side of the rigging and kind of put a hand kind of up and look down at you and say, "I'm sorry, did you need a ride?"
He says, oh, and he's holding on, and he wipes his face a little bit, and he says, yeah, just need to pass through.
You see that she will look back at the dock. Make another intuit check.
Okay, well, that's a 19 on the die for
Ooh.
what? For 20. It's a little more.
So 21?
20, just 20.
Oh, 20. Okay, so one. Okay. There's a vibe to her that is she definitely finds what you're doing and your whole being odd, but you do get the sense that she looks back at the dock. She looks for the O'Drawl that was hanging around there for a couple of minutes. And when she doesn't see it, weird silver-eyed, you understand that she saw something weird and is kind of, without understanding anything about it, putting together the pieces of the puzzle of these two things are connected. And you see that she will step to the side of the rigging and kind of grab you and help pull you aboard. You see that one of these sailors, a human man in his late 20s, 28, 29, darker skin, kind of short curly hair, will kind of come up the steps to where the helm is. This is a person that you have worked with on the crabbing boats. He's someone who goes just between kind of Little Bay, Fimmel, and Bellon. This person's name is Arjon. You see, he goes, "Cesarine?" And he'll look at the captain and say, "This is, he works the boats sometimes." And he'll kind of see in the light coming from the ship, probably, the very worn eyes that you have and the redness in your eyes. And will kind of approach. The captain is kind of knows what to do of you see an omen, you go, "I should take this person," but at the same time, it's I don't know what to do with it. You see that Archon will kind of close the distance all the way and kind of put a hand on your shoulder and look at the captain and say, Cesarine, worked with him a couple of times. He knows his way around this ship. If
Cesarine will start nodding really fast.
Go ahead.
Like really fast, little like rapid nods.
Do you think Cesarine is a particular charming individual? Not excessively so, but do you think he can get his way around a conversation? Or if he should add the phrase, rather, if he needs to? Because I think there is he's young and awkward for sure.
If he needs to, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think time around his father has given him plenty of when I need to straighten out and, speak words and, get my way into something, I can do it.
Indeed. So I believe we had established in the town of Bellon that you had a D4 of reputation. Technically right now, although it does not extend to this circumstance, you go back to Bellon. Very shortly, you'd probably have a lot more reputation from your encounter. And then in a day or two, you're going to have a lot less reputation. But what I want here is a roll with your reputation, which just means that because people know you, and in this case, because John knows you, it makes it a little easier to navigate through the world. I will let you decide. It sounds like Cesarine has the skill charm. I'll let you decide if he is capable of using that right now, or if it is just pure reputation. So what this means in terms of a roll, a D20 is always a base roll, plus a D4 of your reputation, plus potentially a D4 from your charm.
I do think he could turn it on right now. I think he's faced with a older person who feels authority, like has a general authority over a situation, and he really wants this. I think it's funny because he's like all red and puffy, but I think he can manage it. Okay, 18, 3, 21, 2, 23.
23.
So it's a 23. And I think he says, he talks, he says, and I think he's very like earnest when he says this. He says, I can work. I don't need money or even a bed, really. I can work if just for maybe a little bit of food and a ride.
You see that the captain will look at this very upset looking boy, and her face, although hardened by like the weather and her experience, softens a bit, and you see she'll say, "You can work. We'll give you food, we'll pay you, and we'll take you, we can take you to Little Bay."
That works.
Okay.
He just nods very rapidly some more.
There's no space for a bed, so you're gonna have to figure that out.
That's fine. I don't need a bed.
Okay. You see Archon will say, "Why doesn't Cesarine take the night with the crew right now, and we'll let someone off?" And you see the captain kind of nod. You see that she'll kind of like almost go to give a pat on your shoulder and then kind of stop to be like, "I don't fucking know this kid." But she'll say, "Captain Izel, by the way." And she'll go kind of back to the helm and give a couple of little orders.
Big sigh. You said the captain left?
She's walked fully 3 feet away to the helm. Not yet, but...
Yeah. But Arjon's still there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to turn to him, and I'm going to give the most everything's okay smile I can possibly muster up, and I'm going to say thank you. You
see, looking straight in your very upset face, he's like, known you for a summer or two. You started working young, fully just doesn't know what's going on, and will kind of be like, "All right, this kid's doing some stuff. It's late at night. He probably does see the symbol on the chest. Doesn't quite understand what it is, but again, he saw the Odral as well. Like there's something happening here. You see, he'll say, "All right, well, let me get you at your station." And just kind of like walk down the stairs with you and get you to whatever you'll be doing on the ship.
I do think that there's an extra pair of shoes around here? He's going to ask him that.
You see, he says, what? And then looks down at your feet and sees that you are shoeless. Shoeless pants, regular fitting pants, shirt 1 to 2 sizes too large, and will say, I'll have the person you're letting off for the night do a quick search, and brings you to your station, kind of just being like, what the fuck is this kid experiencing? And will go off to talk to whatever person to let them off and see about those shoes.
I don't know. Well, maybe I know a little bit about boats, but for the most part, I don't know I don't know shit about boats.
Cesarine knows so much about boats.
Yeah, I love making a character who knows a lot about things that I don't fucking know about. All I've done is watch a little bit of Below Deck, which is a reality TV show about people working on very expensive, like, luxury yachts. That's the extent of my knowledge. But he's taken to like a spot to do some stuff, let some guy off. If he's familiar with what's going on, he'll at least, he won't just stand there.
Yeah, I think Cesarine knows what to do to begin to get to work.
Yeah, he's just gonna start. He's gonna try and make himself as useful as possible for this whole trip. You
begin to boat so hard. Just so very firmly you are boating.
Yeah.
And as our kind of camera begins to detach from the boat and pull away, we see that in the distance, the clouds are gathering for a storm. And we will actually, for the first time, see some things that Cesarine does not see. Earlier in the day, we see Clarion as the sun hangs low in the sky outside of her home, crying as her mother punishes her for running when the small and weak Cesarine stayed. Clarion is holding back as much as she can, but there is a brutality to those who follow the ways of the general in the Legion. We see as well your brother, who we have yet to see in this story. Tucker, if you would do me a favor and describe what your brother looks like.
I think he does look a little bit like Cesarine. I do think it looks like they're related. There's the kind of, very human looking, kind of basic in that way. Dark hair, dark eyes, more fair skin than is normal for these parts. But I actually think that from what we've spoken about him, I feel like he looks a little tougher than Cesarine does. We talked about him being a little bit of a troublemaker. I think he looks like he can maybe handle a little bit more. Whether that translates to him being a little bit bigger than Cesarine, or having more of a, maybe not intimidating stance, but more of a broader form, maybe something closer to their father.
Yeah.
But I think overall, even if it's not that, it's still a presence that translates to being maybe a little rougher around the edges than Cesarine is.
I think he probably is taller than Cesarine, but he's also a year or two younger. I think he very much takes over after the physicality of your father. I think he probably worked a bit harder to steal food every once in a while. And in many senses, yeah, he is a troublemaker. But he's young. He's a child. He's 16 or 15. We see him having heard that something happened to you and your father went out drinking because of it. He went to look for you past the curfew. And when he ran into some Legion guards and did not show the appropriate deference or respect, he as well got the taste of Gauntlet this night. Beat to the point that it will take a while for him to get up on the dirty streets of Bellum, holding his chest and stomach, tears streaming down his face. We cut and see your father, long after you were gone, opening the door, not even to check on you, but deciding it was time that you get up, and seeing that you are not in the room. Your father's face goes from the cruelty of pride to violent and angry, as he often is. You see that he has adorned just the breastplate and backplate of the Legion on this night, a way of acknowledging his past and carrying that on with you, or so he thought. We see him exit the tavern and begin to walk down the streets, assuming that you better, if you were to leave, have gone straight home. On the way, he sees your brother on the ground, and without stopping to even check on his state, will grab him by the hair and drag him all the way home in his weakened state. There's a reason why people leave your father behind in this small, distant town. He has a habit of hurting the people close to him. And when he sees that you have left as well, when the realization hits him, his fists meet the skin of your already weakened brother. And he does not stop. At this point in the night, you have sailed into the storm. The waves are high, and the rain is heavy but not unbearable. You've had worse. As thunder rolls and cracks and lightning strikes the ocean, you feel something that I think is hard to put to words. It starts with the feeling of pain. The feeling that you almost had with Dertig of loss, but it's a different flavor. And underneath the sounds of the rain and the thunder, you hear the echoes of a voice that you had not heard in many months, crying out past the point of begging and pleading.
I think through all of this, there have been many points in which he is kind of shown or something is happening that he doesn't understand. And this is another one of those moments in which he's experiencing something that he doesn't understand. And the logical part of his mind that is present, right, will try and take a route of pragmatism. And he'll tell himself, I'm tired. It's been a long day and I'm tired. But I think something deeper than that he won't acknowledge it, knows that there is a reason for this. I think given the tone of the cry and that feeling of loss, he knows that with everything that has happened, that there is more. That he's not just tired. But acknowledging it is too hard. It is easier. It is easier to find excuses, to play himself off as reading into it or being exhausted. I think at any point that it tugs at him, he'll just kind of keep repeating to himself in his head that he's exhausted. And he'll bury those other feelings somewhere else.
It is a difficult night, but eventually your shift ends and you get to find some rest in the early hours of the morning. At this point, most certainly exhausted. The storm has taken a toll on the crew, but it is beginning to let up, but will not leave anytime soon. As you find some kind of place amongst bags or whatever materials are being transported on the ship, without having gotten a new pair of shoes, drenched in your one pair of clothes, with almost nothing on you, how long does it take for Cesarine to fall asleep?
I don't think it takes long, but I think it's kind of forced, not by him, but by his body. Like, I think his mind is still moving a lot. He's only up for as long as it takes for his body to basically shut down and be like, you're done, you know?
You drift quickly into rest. And that sensation that we sometimes have in our dreams of falling is how your dream begins. It's hot. And the sky is bright, but the ground is dark. It's red with white marbling, but not the kind and vibrant red of Leah, but some other tone. It's hard to breathe. It's very hard to breathe. There's something that captures the humidity and the moisture of your breath, while your skin feels like it is baking in armor. You're on a battlefield of some kind, and you're in motion. You're fighting. You see people, but they're exaggerated features. You see knights like the one who struck you down this day. Make an intuit check.
22.
You are the White Knight in this moment, striking down those who oppose your way, the violence that you inflict upon the world. Your body moves almost against your will, and the motions are painful. But there's something about taking a life that, despite you not wanting it to feel this way, it feels good. And you see, as you strike down random souls, the last person you cut is your brother. The image shifts in that very same moment. What are Cesarine's feelings in this dream right now?
I think he's scared, but not in the way that he was before, not in the way of being scared of something. It is more all-encompassing instead of a fear of this one thing. It is more all-encompassing.
As the image shifts, you're back in Folia, back home on the beach, somewhere on Bellum. You were younger. Your brother at this point is smaller than you. This is the first time, I think, your brother realized how violent the world that the two of you lived in was. And I think as well, in this conversation, he is understanding, in some abstract sense, why he's grown up without a mother. What do you think Cesarine said to your brother back then?
I think in a moment like that, I think Cesarine thought about, like how people often do, he relates it to himself. There wasn't anyone to comfort him. I imagine whenever his mother left and it was just their father, his brother was too young. There wasn't anybody to comfort Cesarine, or make him feel even a false sense of safety, even if just for a moment. No one to explain things to him. No one to speak to about it. So I think he would have wanted to give that to his brother. I think he would have wanted to tell him, would have told him probably a number of things. Some of them true and some of them not even remotely true. Maybe that it's going to be okay, or they don't need her, or they have each other. That eventually they'd go somewhere else, maybe. Maybe even made promise he doesn't remember more.
I think this was the summer before, or the year before, you began to learn how to sail. I think your life going to school and the deepening of your relationship with your Teague distracted you from your relationship with your brother. In this moment, I think he looks at you. You, I think, having just said that perhaps you would get him on the island someday, which is the reason you began to sail. And he says, "You promise?"
I promise.
point at which the dream departs from the memory held back in the minds of you and your brother, and represented by a small star in the sky. You see, this time he says, "You still have to take me, but I have to go right now."
Cesarine look at him and say, he says, "I'll come back." He says, "Be here when I come back."
I think in this memory, he already had a bruise on his face. But you see a streak of blood runs down his head, similar to where you had struck that rock earlier in the day. And as the blood runs down, it reveals new splits in his skin, across his cheeks, and his forehead. The face swelling further to a point that you have difficulty recognizing him. Promise you can find me.
Cesarine, through tears, I think now, says, "I promise. I promise. I'll find you. I'll come back. And we'll go away, I promise. I'll find you. I promise, you just have to hang on a little longer. Please just hang on a little longer."
At this point, he is beginning to shake, not because he is crying, but in a way that he looks like he's beginning to convulse. He closes his eyes and shakes his head. And you see down the beach a small bird with dark brown wings and a light underbelly. And you also feel a silvery light beyond your periphery, and a soft voice that says, "I'm sorry, I didn't know." And then what feels like a comfort on your shoulders as the bird is flying towards your brother. Its eyes, small black beads, but when it reaches your brother, they turn into the color of dawn, and your brother disappeared. And you watch this bird fly past you and above into the sky, and you are left alone on this beach. And then you wake up, the rocking of the boat. Something has just fallen, and a noise might have shocked you awake. Maybe the dream was already over. You can still hear the sound of heavy rain, but you can tell from the little bit of light that peeks through it is daytime.
I think that in the same way that when he ran towards the boat, he felt love in his body. For the first time in his life, he feels hate in it. I don't think he really hated anything before. I think that if you had asked him before this if he even hated his father, he would say no and he would mean it. But in this moment, before he fully processes why, he hates him. His fists are just like clenched, like white-knuckled. He's probably crying, if not vocally, then silently. And it's just hate for the first time. He hates his father. He hates his town. He hates his mother for leaving. He hates himself for leaving.
Coming around from the same side that you felt that silver presence in the dream, you see what is known as a martril, a small chipmunk, squirrel-like rodent, a pest with little antlers. They tend to come in kind of like brownish green colors, sometimes in stripes, similar patterns to the chipmunk, but slightly larger. Long tail. You see this one does not have any green on it, but has black stripes and silver eyes. As it runs along, the crate will say that you are beside and turns and looks at you in a way that you can read regret and shame.
I think Cesarine, I think he kind of reaches around for like the first thing he can grab. Something like small. A little piece of wood or a book or something round, anything. And he kind of like scrambles to his feet. And at this point, I think he's like actually crying now. And he's going to throw it in the direction of this little thing. Not at it, just in its direction. And as he throws it, he's crying. And he just says, "Get out. Just get out. Get away from me." And it's not particularly, he's not particularly firm in it. Just sort of generally distressed. Almost looking for something to pin this on in the moment.
When you throw the object, it will get kind of low to the surface it's on, but sees that it wasn't going directly towards it. It'll kind of go to its hind legs. Very small creature. It will look at you for a moment and then scurry off and disappear, and then appear near you by your feet, kind of like in a way that is not like when it scurried off, it was like farther away in a direction that was away from you, and then suddenly it's closer. I think it like looks up at you in a way that is, I think Cesarine's probably well past the point that like this thing is an animal. I don't think you know what it is, but it's not an animal. And you see it will just take its kind of like paw, it does have kind of like little chipmunk hands, and place gently on your foot, because that is the thing it can reach on you as it like looks up at you. It again carries like empathy and sorrow in its eyes.
I think he like lets out like a more like choked sob, like just another little sob, and he lifts his other foot, and says like go again, like more forceful, and he lifts his foot as if he were going to like attempt to kick it off with the other foot, but then just sort of slams it on the ground where it was, because he can't actually bring himself to do any harm to this creature, but there's all this like pent up shit. I think he almost feels worse that it is trying to console him, but he doesn't move away after he puts his foot down. He just says go again and cries a little bit more.
It'll maintain its eye contact with you, but then kind of hang its head in its own shame, and will, I think, run kind of around your leg, and when you go to follow it, when it leaves the kind of like sight line behind your own leg, it disappears and it's gone.
I think he just stands there for a moment, sort of defeated, but I think very quickly comes to a decision that almost like a frustrated, I have to do something. He wipes his face. He's going to go stomp up to go find something to do. He probably doesn't look very good. Probably looks worse today. But I don't think he cares. I think he just wants to go find something to do. And he's going to be like all weird and huffy about it.
It is not your shift again. And it won't be, or it shouldn't be, until the boat reaches its destination. As you come to the surface, or the top of the ship, gray clouds above, you see that Arjan is awake and has like a bread roll of some kind that he is eating, leaning up against the railing of the ship. You see that he'll kind of like, as you stomp up, will take note and kind of turn towards you in a way that he doesn't know how to deal with like teenagers. But the thing I think that comes out of his mouth is like, rough night.
He'll do a big sniff. That's a little sad and pathetic, though I think his face is very much like twisted up, like, the brows and the nose scrunched up. And he says, yeah, something like that. And then he'll look around and say, let me pick up some slack somewhere, anywhere.
Don't work yourself too hard, Cesarine. You can relax. Besides, we're going to need you tonight. The ship has been moved off course, so longer travel period for Little Bay.
Cesarine shakes his head and he says, no, I can, I'm not. It's not too much. I can work now and I can work tonight.
Is there anything else you would want to characterize about what is happening to Cesarine through the day? Because I kind of imagine just a smash cut to the night where Cesarine is passed the fuck out. Is there...
No, I think that like if he's allowed to do something now, he'll do it, and then like maybe if he chills out a little bit through like doing some stuff and like not having as much like teenage angst, he'll maybe like chill out for a little bit, but otherwise I think he is like being very stubborn about this. I think like on his mind right now is just there is like a deep need to do something, anything, relieve anything. Again, just being stubborn. He'll calm down if he completes something and feels good about completing something. But I think right now he's just being a little shit.
Yeah, I think Cesarine works in a way that like at this point, everyone on the ship is like, yeah, something's going on with this kid. And we don't know what to do about it. Like, we all saw that weird O'Drawl waiting by the dock, and this kid sprints onto the ship and jumps. And then he's just can't
He's crying all the goddamn time.
He's crying all the goddamn time.
He's crying while he angrily ties some ropes.
Yeah, just the strangest experience. So they leave you to it. And I think Cesarine just works himself to a point of like exhaustion. The night comes, and when the sun goes down, like within an hour or two, I think Cesarine just begins to like pass out wherever he is. And you wake up once more, again in the early hours of the morning. This time, I imagine as you come back up from wherever you were put, probably honestly you were put in like a hammock this time. As you come back to the surface of the ship, the deck, top deck, I don't know, boat stuff, you see the vast starry night sky, the moons, and not a cloud in sight, and can see the distant daylight. Is Cesarine thinking about Dertique at all at this point?
I don't think so. I do think he's too busy being like, I hate my dad. I hate that stupid town. I hate my mom. I hate them.
So it does not occur to Cesarine that in the time that you have lost on this ride, Dertique has gotten potentially further away. As the morning begins to break, you see the dawn and are reminded of the bird that took your brother and its eyes. And you see in the distance sandy shores and dunes with sparse grass, the occasional tree, and a very lively, very large compared to what you've seen, city of Little Bay. You see the small bay that gives way to the city, and you see many boats, some that you recognize and some that you do not. There are ones with like vibrant sails that are made from red leaves in a style that looks not like the wood was cut, but rather grown into this shape. You see a very large ship, which is not the color of the Felian wood, the grayish blue, but it is black and dark. You see on the dock, for the first time, in a reasonably high percentage, I suppose is the right word, different races. Probably on the docks see your first dragonborn of gold scale, tall orc-like build. You see mostly humans, but you do see like the varying kinds of elves, some with red skin, deep red skin, with almost what looks like a gold blush and antlers. You see burgundies and pinks in elven skin as well. You see many dwarves in this very large and very lively and active set of docks. You're stepping into a world that is now much, much larger than you. You see as the ship eventually comes into its place and everyone begins to offload, you see that the captain will approach you and hand you an appropriate coin. We will say 10 silver as you are still on the boat. Whether you want to characterize how you step off or just Cesarine's feelings right now. Entering this new world and this much larger and more complex story. What is Cesarine doing and what is on his mind?
I think he's still pissed. Just a general, like, very angry and upset. And I think that there's a part of him, however small it may be now, however big it may get, that knows he'll, or at least knows he'll want to go back eventually. So I think that there's a part of him that fears the decisions he may make if he were to ever go back, but also wants that. I think he's feeling maybe a little too like his father right now. I think he is in some twisted way, understanding what motivates his father to violence. I don't think it's consciously clicked, as a young teenager, how to separate himself from that. And the self-awareness to go, oh shit, but that's the feeling. And on the other side of things, he is like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I am still too, I don't think he knows what he needs to go and do. I don't think he knows what he's doing. But I think for the time being, his thought process is, I need to leave. I need to keep going. I just need to keep moving one foot at a time, just keep going. So I think he's already kind of thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do here? I have no shoes.
As your bare feet touch the dock and immediately step in something slimy and weird, your first steps on mainland Philea, and your first thoughts probably being, I need to find some fucking shoes. This has been Cesarine's Saga, with Tucker Patterson as Cesarine and Jesse T. William as the guide. This story uses the Legacy and Saga TTRPG designed by Jesse T. William. It is edited and scored also by Jesse T. William.